Hey everyone, welcome back. So I wish today was a better day in miners and Bitcoin in general, but it wasn't a great day. But is it over for Bitcoin? No, I don't think so. We'll take a look at obviously what happened with Bitcoin today. Miners pretty much gave back all their gains from yesterday, unfortunately. It was like a sea of red out there. There was only one green miner. It was actually Hive today. They came out with a news report on their HPC update for Canada. We'll talk about that. We'll also take a look at some stats on the miners as well. And then what else do we have here? We got a couple good stories on Bitcoin as well, adoption, and then we'll get into Q&A. So should be pretty short and sweet here, but let's take a look what's going on here. But first, we got to go through this. Not financial advice as always. For entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. You know the drill. But let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin here really quick. There we go. We can see it much nicer on that one. And we can see here, obviously, Bitcoin went down quite hard today. It was down 2.95%. We've been on a down slope ever since we reached a high of 124,000, right? We got there and we actually went down 4.03%. This was on the PPI news and something else that happened at that point, and we've been slowly heading downwards. Yesterday we were down, but the miners were actually up, which was kind of nice here. And yesterday I also talked about this, that if Bitcoin does not hold the 50 SMA, we're more likely to go down here, possibly come down to a low of about 111,000 here before everything is said and done here. But looking at the chart here right now, this looks pretty similar to what we just saw here a little while ago, right? So you can see it here. If you look here, right, we got to a high, kind of similar to here. We got to a high, and then we came down, touched the 50 SMA, bounced off of that, right? Same here, touched that, bounced off of it, and then we came actually down here below the 50 SMA. Same setup is happening right here. We touched the 50 SMA, went above it, went below it again, and then we finally bounced back up, touched the 50 SMA, and then actually went up higher again. I'm thinking this might be the same kind of setup that we saw here just, what is that, a couple of weeks ago, back in June, right? From May to June, basically. It's kind of eerily similar to that right now. We'll see if this plays out that way. If we don't go down to the 100 SMA, we might bounce off of here. We'll see, and then go back up above, test the 50 SMA later on, and then go up higher here. So we're looking possibly for a little bit more volatility, I guess you could say. The best way to summarize it, more or less. But I don't think this is over. I mean, Bitcoin's only down from the top here, from 124,000 down to the bottom. We're only down approximately 9.5%, roughly, or so. That's where we bottomed out, at least right now. So that's not too bad here. In the past here, let's take a look at it, from the prior high here, which was around 112,000. It took us a while to bottom out, but we bottomed out. This was about 12%. So this is kind of in line with what we saw here, at least recently, right? Will this trend continue? Time will tell only. But we only really have to go by what we saw in the past. We can't tell what's going to happen in the future, unfortunately. So until somebody creates a time machine, in the meantime, we can only go by what we have in the past. And I think we might be bouncing here from this. Time will tell. RSI is also looking pretty good here. Right on this, you can see the RSI back here was rough. It was a little bit lower. It was around 37. Right, Bitcoin price obviously was much lower. At that point, we got to 98,000 for the low here. We're up to the RSI right now at 40, so just a slightly higher than what it was in the past there. And we might bounce off of here as well on the daily, at least. The 4-hour chart here, looking at that has been getting pretty low. Obviously, it's been going lower though, price-wise, even though the RSI is at around 30 here, so that's looking slightly too close, being oversold here a little bit. Obviously, the 1-hour chart as well looks like it's oversold here twice, or a couple times at least. We're oversold here, a little bit oversold here, and then the 15-minute chart here, if we look at that, that definitely does look oversold as well. So we might be starting to kind of bounce here a little bit. That's just my thoughts on it. I'm not too concerned about it. I will start to get too concerned if we start, battling with the 200 SMA at 100,000. And that doesn't hold for a while. But then again, we also went down below the 200 SMA here. Right, this was back in March of this year. We went below it, and we finally bounced up above it. So that's where I'll start getting concerned if that's where we end up going to here. But in the meantime, I think with all the buying that's happening here by different companies, MicroStrategy actually bought some more here recently. We'll talk about that. Other companies are buying as well. So I think it's going to just continue to kind of, it is what it is, but I think we're going to continue to go up higher as time progresses here. I don't think the run is over yet on it. Okay, miners, Ethereum. Ethereum was also down quite a bit today. It was down 5.55% on the day. It's up a little bit now as it is. Markets, for the most part, were in the red, except for the Dow Jones. Dow Jones was up just a little bit, 0.02. NASDAQ was down 1.46. S&P was down 0.59. Russell was down 0.77 as well. Miners, obviously, as you can see here, sea of red on these guys here. Bitfarms was down 7.25. BitDeer was down almost 10% there. King was down 3.85%. Cypher was down 4.79. Cleanspark was down 4.88. CORZ was down 1.24. Hive was actually up 0.84, and that's based on the news that came out for them. We'll talk about that in a second here. HUD 8 was down about 10%. That one, I mean, a lot of these guys got beaten up really bad. IREN was down 10% as well. Like I said, a lot of the gains that we've had in the last 2 days of trading, it looks like, have been wiped out here. Mara was down 5.72%. Riot was down 2.92%. Wolf was down 6%, 6.4%. MicroStrategy was down 7.43%. This one broke the 200 SMA here. Right, there was an interesting conversation happening on X right now with, was it Grant or Gary Cardone? I can't remember which one it was. And a bunch of guys there. Josh was also in there. They were talking about MicroStrategy and why MicroStrategy has not been doing that great here recently. Interesting conversation there. Galaxy was down 9.58%. Block was down 3.1%. Coin was down 5.8%. MetaPlanet was down 9% as well. Exodus was the only one that was up 1.96% here. Everybody else was down in the red. Small miners were down in the red as well. Bitcoin ETFs or Bitcoin miner ETFs were in the red as well. Ethereum ETF, no, not ETFs. Gosh, Ethereum holding companies or treasury companies. BMNR was down 9%. BTBT, BitDigital was down 7.48. BTCS was down 13. Game was down 10%. SBET was down 8.65%. These guys are not performing well here recently, at least, but nothing is really performing well, right? So it's kind of par for course, I guess you could say, on it. I'm still not a big fan of the Ethereum holding companies or treasury companies, just as I'm not a big fan of MicroStrategy and others as well. I love that they're doing it because it's obviously pumping the prices of those coins up higher. But as far as if I wanted to get exposure to Bitcoin or Ethereum, I would just buy the doggone asset outright, right, and put it into cold storage. But for some reason, people believe that there should be a MNEV multiple on these guys. For some reason, because they hold it, they should get a premium. I just can't wrap my head around it. I just don't get that, right? It is what it is. Yes, price of those assets can go up over time, and if you believe those are going to go up, you should get a little bit of a premium because they will eventually go up. But once Bitcoin or Ethereum gets to a certain point, you probably should be at MNEV 1 at that point, right? Because it's not worth any more than anything else. But that's just my take. Could be wrong on that. We'll see how they do. Obviously, MicroStrategy has done very well here in the bull run. It has definitely come down from where it's been. And you can see here, MicroStrategy is at $336. It peaked, obviously, at $543 back in November of last year. And it's been more or less flat to down, actually, since that time frame here, right? We did have also MicroStrategy get below the 200 SMA here. This was back in April of this year. And it bounced off of that, so maybe we'll bounce off of this as well and go up higher from here. Maybe this is just one of those corrections that we needed to have in the market, and then they do very well going forward. But again, I will not be investing in those. That's just my take. All right, so there's that. Miners, how are they doing in the after hours? Well, a lot of these guys are still down. BitDeer's down 1.2%. Bitfarms is flat on the day. Kango is up actually 1.69% here. Cypher is down another 3.47%. Cleanspark is up just a little bit, 0.11%. CORZ is up 0.35%. Hive is actually down 2% there. HUD 8 is down 2%. IREN is down 0.96%. Mara down 0.73%. Riot down 50%, or sorry, 0.5%. And TeraWolf is actually up 2.39%. And that one probably should be, what is that? Why was it up? Yeah, okay, here we go. 2.39. I was surprised it was showing like 59% gains. I'm like, what? This is old. But it is up 2.39% here in the after hours right now as it is. Bitcoin, on the other hand, for August right now is down 2.18% as it is. Not what we were expecting. We were expecting a green month for August, but that could still change. We still have roughly 12 days left in the month. I think that will change here going forward, but it might not be at the point where we thought it's going to be, right? So it's going to be a little bit more subdued, it looks like here. And then we'll see where September comes in. If we get the rate cuts in September, that could be a good month for Bitcoin and Ethereum, along with the miners as well at that point. Bitcoin ETF inflows and outflows, well, we definitely had a lot of outflows today. Same with yesterday. IBIT actually sold 68 million. That got us to a negative 121 million here on Bitcoin. Today, who do we have selling here quite a bit? Fidelity sold 246 million. Bitwise sold 86. ARK Invest sold 63. Franklin Templeton sold 3.3 million. And then we have Grayscale sold 115 million, along with, so that was GPTC and BTC, 7.5 million there for a total of 523 million. We'll see where IBIT comes in tomorrow. I'm guessing it's going to be probably red, but maybe not. It might be green, because we saw here on August 14th, IBIT was actually positive while everybody else was selling. So we'll see if that one actually comes in positive tomorrow. But it's still going to be a lot to overcome this negative trend that we saw here in the last 3 days on that. All right, some good news stories on Bitcoin here really quick. We do have this. Air Canada Pension Fund reveals 161 million Bitcoin allocation. This is Canada's first large pension fund with a Bitcoin allocation, right? It takes first somebody to be the first, and then others copy it. So that's going to be happening going forward, I think. We'll see probably more and more of these as time progresses, which is good. Next here is Strategy has acquired 430 Bitcoin for 51.4 million at 119,666 per Bitcoin, and has achieved Bitcoin yield of 25.1% year to date. And they hodl 629,376 BTC. Acquired for 46.15 billion at an average price of 73,320 per Bitcoin as it is, right? Saylor and company are just stacking Bitcoin as time progresses here. They don't care what the price is. They're just buying it like crazy here. So that's good news there. Next, let's get into the miners here really quick. We do have this from Hive here. This was obviously what kept the stock up today, I believe. But Buzz High Performance Computing partners with Bell Canada to deliver advanced sovereign NVIDIA AI infrastructure for Canada. So this is one of the things that they mentioned when they bought out a data center in Canada as well. It was like a 7 megawatt site. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, that they want to provide that kind of those kind of systems for sovereign Canadians, basically. So today they announced that on August 3rd, which I'm surprised that they are now putting it out just now, that it had signed a preferred partnership with Bell Canada, the country's largest telecommunications provider, to deliver one of Canada's largest sovereign AI ecosystems through Bell AI Fabric. Buzz HPC will provide Bell's government and enterprise customers with access to NVIDIA Ampere, NVIDIA Hopper, and NVIDIA Blackwell GPU clusters, scalable over NVIDIA Quantum to InfiniBand networking. Buzz HPC's large-scale NVIDIA accelerated computing infrastructure, purpose-built for AI, machine learning, and scientific computing, will be integrated with Bell AI Fabric's advanced fiber network, data centers, and partner ecosystems, including Cohere. This combined capability supports a range of use cases, including developing AI foundational models and fine-tuning existing models, all within Canada. And I think that's great, because I think all countries should have their own models and things like that they can have in-house here. Definitely would like to see the United States models get propagated throughout the world here, but it is what it is. So launching later this year, Buzz HPC's infrastructure will begin with a 5 megawatt deployment in Manitoba, followed by expansion into other Bell AI Fabric data centers. These deployments are designed to support a wide range of national objectives. So that's a little interesting there. I wonder if it's Bell AI Fabric data centers, so they're not owned by Buzz or Hive here. I wonder how that's going to work out. Do they just get paid? How will they get paid? That's my question there on that one. Okay, but here's some of the things that they are providing as advantages. So secure sovereign AI, right? Data and compute infrastructure remain entirely within Canadian-owned facilities, ensuring full compliance with national residency and privacy laws. Nationwide access to advanced AI tools, so cutting-edge NVIDIA accelerated computing and high-speed networking deployed across multiple provinces, starting with Manitoba. Enhanced innovation and competitiveness enables Canadian businesses, researchers, and governments to build world-class AI solutions locally while maintaining global competitiveness and sustainable, scalable growth. Green energy-powered infrastructure designed for long-term expansion supports an eco-conscious path to AI development. So there it is. So I think it's great for them. We'd like to see some figures as far as revenues on this is going to concern. But nonetheless, this just definitely adds a little bit more revenue for them going forward here. So this is nice to see from Hive, and they just keep executing not only on the HPCI side of the business with Buzz, but they're also doing really well with Bitcoin mining here right now as it is. So we shall see how they get priced going forward. And right, one of the things that I've always said here recently, maybe even for a while now, is my only concern is that they don't have any operations in the United States. Not sure how investors will view that, right? Will that be an impediment to them to have a nice higher price appreciation going forward? I think they'll follow Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners in general, but will they get love for that? I don't know. But so we'll have to wait and see how that one does. But they're doing great otherwise. They're doing all the right things, I believe. Okay, so there's that. Next thing we're going to take a look at here is some of the metrics in the miners here. I did pull in a couple of things here, market cap metrics and enterprise market cap as well. We can see here the market caps of these guys for all the miners that we cover right now. And it looks like I forgot to put in Kango. No, Kango's in on this one. Why is it not on this one? Market cap. I'm a little surprised. Okay. Shares outstanding, but let me see here. Let me see if we can remedy that. Where's that coming up from? I don't have Kango here. Okay, I'll have to add that in there. So I'll add that one in later on. I'm not going to waste your guys' time right now. But Kango, let's see, we can probably take a look at Kango here really quick as well, see where the market cap is more or less. Kango's market cap is 839 million there. Okay. So we got that 839 million. That puts them actually above Hive, with Hive being at 488 million there. Mara, obviously the biggest right now, market cap 5.6 billion, followed by Riot with 4.4, Core at 4.3, and IREN knocking on the door of those two guys with 4.2 billion here as of today. Cleanspark 2.6 billion, BitDeer 2.5, Cypher 2.2, and then Hive obviously 448, and Kango about 800 some. Right, you can see the number of shares outstanding here by all these guys. Cypher has the most shares outstanding, 393 million. Followed by followed by Mara, Riot, then Core, then Cleanspark, then IREN, then Hive, BitDeer, and Kango having the least amount. And then when we look at their 3-month revenues, MCAP multiple, so we're taking the 3 months of revenue, dividing it by their market cap, and we're getting multiple on that, right? Right now we can see that Cypher is getting the largest multiple on that with 37.6, followed by BitDeer at 34.3. Then you got Riot at 28.2, Mara at 22, IREN at 19, Cleanspark at 11, Hive at 8.9, and Kango at 4.9. So this kind of tells you a little bit as far as how are they being valued on their revenue here over the last 3 months, more or less. Next one is 12 months, same thing, right? We're looking over the last 12 months revenue, dividing market cap by that, and getting a multiple on it as well. And at this point, we can see that BitDeer here is getting the biggest multiple on it at 14.1. Cypher 11.2, Riot 8.7, IREN 7.6, Mara 7, Cleanspark 3.9, Hive 3.7, and Kango 2.3. Again, I think some of these guys here are definitely getting a nice premium on that. Some others are not, right? Some of them look a little bit undervalued based on that. And then here's our 3-month revenue here. Mara has the most revenue in the last 3 months, 215 million, followed by Cleanspark 222 million, then IREN 215. And you can see how everybody else stacks up there over the last 12 months. You got Mara with 799 million. Cleanspark with 679 million, IREN with 555 million, and Riot 510 million, and even Kango's at 357 million, but that's only for, I think I have data for them for like 7 months here. So even with 7 months, they're outperforming here Core, Cypher, but their costs are obviously higher there, right? Now, so take that with a little bit of grain of salt there, but that's kind of how it looks on the market caps and some comparisons to revenues there for these guys. Next, we're going to take a look at enterprise and market caps here. So enterprise value is based on the latest quarterly results that we do have for these guys. IREN, we're still waiting on that one. That one's coming out, I think, the 28th, which is going to be next week for them. But you can see Hive has a 463 million enterprise value right now. Cypher 2.3 billion, BitDeer 2.5, Cleanspark 2.7, Riot 2.9, Core 4.3, IREN 4.5, and Mara 4.6 billion. Right, so we're taking out basically market cap plus debt minus cash minus HODL. Right, with these guys, and you can see the market cap here for these guys. We talked about that here recently, just a couple minutes ago. And then we look at the market cap minus enterprise value. So we're taking the market cap of them currently, subtracting the enterprise value, and we get the difference on it. So if the market cap is low and their enterprise is greater, you get a negative number, right? So they should be valued better even than that. So IREN is actually low, 379 million. Cleanspark should be valued about 114 million higher. Cypher 69 million, Core 2.4 million, and then Bitgear's a little bit above that, so they're getting a little bit of premium there. Hive, same thing, a slight premium there. Mara 996 million, up from what their enterprise value is to the market cap. So maybe that one should be a little bit lower. Riot at 1.4 billion right now as it is, so they're definitely getting a premium there. And then, but when we include HODL in here to these numbers here, things look definitely different at that point. We got Mara being down 4.7 billion, so they probably should be valued higher. Cleanspark, same thing, down 1.5 billion. Riot down 734 million. IREN down 379 million. Cypher 207 million. Bitgear 188, Core 137, and Hive 43 million. So all of these guys right now are, you know, at least slightly undervalued to largely undervalued based on this alone, if you look at it that way. I like to look at this just to see what the comparison is, right? If enterprise value, that's basically what would somebody pay for them, more or less. What their assets are worth, and where are they valued right now on their market caps and everything else. So kind of interesting to see where some of these guys should be valued much higher than where they are right now, as it is already. Okay, that's it. We got other things we're going to take a look at probably later on this week. We have the MNEF to take a look at, SATs as well, institutions coming up that we're going to take a look at. We'll look at stock performance 1 month over 3 months as well. Let's see, enterprise metrics. What was this one here? We'll look at that. Shorted, we looked at that last week, I think, so we'll have probably another week or so before we get an update on that. And then we'll look at also the quarterly, once IREN reports the quarterly results as well. And then we got some other things, quarter over quarter revenues, dilution, FSB. We got other things we can take a look at that point. All right, but that at least leaves you with a little bit of data on these guys and some of the different stats and metrics that we look at. All right, that's it. Spreadsheets available to the Patreon members. As always, link for that is down in the description if you would like to become a member and help support what I do and get access to all these data points and everything else that you want to take a glance at or play around with even to see where things go at that point. All right, let's get into Q&A here. Let's see if everything works properly. I probably should have checked this, but yesterday we had problems with the chart for Bitcoin here, not working. We'll see if this one actually works this time around. Let me go back here and actually turn it on here. Let's see if this works. It works. All right, so things are working back to normal here. Bitcoin's down 4,000 from where it was, 113,000 right now. I think that's going on a different time frame, but it is down nonetheless from where it was. All right, questions. If you could preface those with a question mark or a Q, I would appreciate it. As always, be kind, courteous, and generally nice in the comments there. Everybody has their own different opinions, and that's okay. That's what makes this world beautiful. We don't all agree on everything, but as long as we can have a nice, cordial conversation, I think that's a good thing here. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. All right. CG asks, can we all finally admit Hive is the best miner to buy at the current moment? Based on the data, I would suggest yes. Right, but then the big question is, will they get the love from investors and investment firms, institutions, with them not having any operations in the United States? That's the question there. If they can, then yeah, they probably would be one of the best ones to invest in right now. Let's see. Okay, what else we got here? Paul says, just when Bitfarms was looking good, finally then dump. Yeah, but everybody dumped here. Everybody dumped pretty hard here. All right. Dan says pullback from now through September, October, then up only November, December. Okay. It might play out that way a little bit. I would have liked to have at least a positive August and then, maybe a down September. But if we get the rate cuts in September, we might actually have a green month in September. We'll see. Sour Mountain says America loves to panic. Yes, they do. Let's see. The miners are burning down. I am feeling a deeper sell-off, unfortunately. Andre, I hope that's not the case. I hope it's just what we've seen in the past here. I hope it's just a little correction and we go back up. Sour says almost time to buy. Let's see. All right, Dead Market Stat says, good evening, YouTube. I love red days. Red days are good buying opportunity days, especially, if you have conviction in Bitcoin going still up higher, definitely. Paul says, most people in crypto are like lemmings with this FUD news until BTC goes up a couple thousand again. Same old, same old. Yep, I would agree. Okay. Dad's Market Stat says, my account was suspended on X. They're not getting another Satoshi from me. Why was it suspended? hopefully you get that reinstated. Okay. Sour Melon says Bitfarms and Hives are junk. Don't buy that crap. Buy for scale. My only concern with Hive is them not having any operations in the United States. I don't know if that's going to be an impediment to them. I don't know. Bitfarms has been doing better. Riot is down to 4.2% of ownership there, so that's good. They should be probably maybe done selling by the end of the month here or early September. With even them selling, the stock has been doing actually pretty good here, and I think they're going in the right direction. So that one might be interesting to watch going forward. Dad's Market Stats says, full disclosure, Bitfarms 3,200 shares, Cypher 200 shares, KULR 400 shares. Okay, very nice. Cass says, need more Bitfarms. Let's see. You guys are having conversation between yourselves here. Mortim has a question. BTC is only 7,000 higher than last December. Trump seems to have killed it. Also, they clearly lied about the SBR, probably why Bo Hines left. Well, I believe that Senator Cynthia Loomis is still working on that, on the SBR bill. We'll see if that gets passed later on this year or maybe early next year. I don't think they lied about it. I think that's still being worked out. I think they're trying to figure out a way to do it without being, what do they call it? Neutral to taxpayers, I think, right? So we'll see. Yeah. Okay. Dan says, hit the likes. Thank you. Seb, you're very, very welcome, Dan. Thanks so much for coming in. All right. John Kurtz says, today I've seen 2 videos claiming still 200,000 by year end, beginning 1st of November. Okay. I mean, there's still a lot of people believing that we're going to get to between somewhere around 80,000 and like 200,000 by the end of the year here. We'll see. I think that might be the case as well. As it says, Goldman Sachs expects 3 interest rate cuts this year which will help Bitcoin to break into new highs. I believe that's also the case there. And then Sarah Mellon says, thoughts on Cleanspark HPC comments today? Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So Matt Schultz was at the SALT conference today in Wyoming. It was a panel moderated by Mike Alfred. Drawing a blank on his name. Mike Alfred. They had Matt Schultz there. They had a gentleman from IREN. They had a gentleman from Wolf. They also had a gentleman from from Mara as well, right? They had, I think it was 4 people on the panel there. They were talking about it. And Matt Schultz did say that they are looking into their sites for possible HPC AI, right? And that Taylor Monick there is definitely interested, obviously, in AI and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. But I think that's good. I think, they do have a lot of sites. They got 32, 33 sites across the United States on 5 or 6 different states. They're smaller sites, so they could possibly get 50 megawatts to maybe, I think one of their sites is like 200 or 300 megawatts. So they could possibly do that, but they could do smaller sites as well, which would be okay, I think, right? But I think you got to go where the I hate to say it, but where the hype is right now, where the demand is, and the demand is in HPCI megawatts in that. So I believe it was a little overdue, possibly, right? I like the fact that they were trying to stay pure play Bitcoin miners, but I think you gotta adjust with the times, right? The times are telling you to go into HPCI, especially if you have the potential there. So I think they're gonna be reviewing their sites, see what's available, what could be possibly transitioned into HPCI, right? Do they have the space? Do they have the connectivity with fiber, redundancies in fiber, potentially also, space for backup generators and cooling towers, all that stuff? Do they have the space for that there? And we'll probably hear more about it later on. So that was a good announcement. Sadie, as always, thank you so much. Likes definitely do help the channel, guys and gals. Dad's Market Stats says, I was trying to grow my account on X. They probably considered it to be spamming. I sleep better at night now. Okay. Yeah, I mean, don't try to grow it. To just, put out what you put out. The best way I can explain it is be yourself, right? I mean, if you find something interesting, post about it, but don't be, trying to post 200 different posts a day. Nobody wants that from anybody. If you have something substantive to say, definitely say it at that point. But that's just me. Let's see. Rusty says Taylor was hoping big tech would have bought Bitcoin by now instead of he got a bunch of mutant companies no one heard of. Who's Taylor? I'm not sure where he... Sailor. Oh, Sailor. Saying talking about Sailor. Okay. Yeah, I mean, well, you're gonna always have, I think, the smaller companies adopt first before the big guys. Those guys will always be towards the end there, or towards the middle, or maybe to the end of the adoption curve. Let's see. DeFi, aside from BTC price spike, what other catalysts do we have for Cleanspark? Thinking about swapping this for SBET 1-to-1 ratio. I mean, SBET is a hodl company for Ethereum there. You know my stance on that. I'm not a big fan of those things. But what could Cleanspark do, I think? Announcing something for HPCI, their intentions, any sites that would be possible for HPCI, I think that would help out. Obviously, Bitcoin going up as well. Them, maybe coming out saying on management compensation, maybe taking a little bit, some scissors to that, cutting that down a little bit. I think that might help on it. And then also any kind of news that they can provide on how they are going to actually lower the cost per megawatt or per kilowatt at their sites. Right now, I think they came in at 5.6 cents per kilowatt. If they can get that down below 5, I think that would be good as well. So there's a couple things they could do. Okay, what is SBET and BMNR NAV? Are you buying? We talked about that one yesterday as far as the MNAVs on those guys. I'm not buying on those. And then what's the news on Cleanspark, HPC? Matt Schultz at the SALT conference basically mentioned that they are looking into HPCI for some of their sites. Sarah Mellon asks, do you use margin? I do not. Ashley asks, Mara, what's your price target for this cycle? They are so cheap, trading below BTC NAV. Yeah, they are. They're way undervalued. I mean, they're basically being valued on their Bitcoin hodl, more or less, and not their operations. So, I don't know. It's tough to say where they should be. I think they should be valued higher from where they are right now, as it is, along with a bunch of other companies here. We could see them, possibly double at least from here at the very bare minimum, I would think. So that's kind of where I would at least like to see them get to. Let's see here. SH, not enough HPCI data center inventory left with CORZ and Wolf getting bought soon. You can't remanufacture lands and power that quickly, and now Bitfarms property is worth more to any hyperscaler. Well, let's see. What do you mean not enough HPCI data center inventory left with CORZ? I mean, there's still a lot, right? IREN obviously has a lot of megawatts. Cypher, same thing. Bitfarms even now, right? But it all depends on the sites and the locations. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that maybe this is hypothetical here. Maybe some of the locations that Cleanspark does have around the United States, they got, 5-6 different states, 32 different locations. Maybe some of those are actually pretty good. I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of sites here. They're smaller sites, right? Some are under 50 megawatts. Some are, 100 megawatts. Some are 200 megawatts. So it'll be interesting to see where they come down on this, and do they provide any updates on it as far as which site could be potentially used for HPCI. DeFi is asking, are you buying Cleanspark here if it dips? I was going to say I was going to buy it when it dips below 9. Did it dip below 9 today? Let's see. Cleanspark 936. So if it dips below 9, I will probably buy some more. I'll just make that out. I'll put that out there basically. Dan Market Stat says using margin to sell options is easy money. Every stock has a support and resistance price. If I can't afford to take assignment on options, I simply roll them. Okay. Yeah, I would need to spend more time on the option side of things and learn that side of the business more. I don't have the time, unfortunately. So for me, it's just easier to dollar cost average in, buy in, and then hopefully sell at a much higher price than where I got in the long run. So we'll see. And what else we got here? I think that's it. I think we're all caught up with questions and comments and everything else. Like I said, I think Bitcoin's just having a little bit of a correction right now. I could be wrong on that, but that's just kind of what I'm seeing, at least right now. And then we'll see where we go from there. I do believe we'll probably end up going much higher eventually by the end of the year. Whether we get to 200,000, that'd be great. But yeah, I mean, some people are calling me like for 250,000 by the end of the year. I don't know if that's going to happen. But I think somewhere between 150,000 and 200,000, I think is doable. It's not out of the question there. But that's also a big span. $50,000 is pretty big there. So we'll see where we end up at. I'm not too worried about it right now. This is definitely, if you believe Bitcoin's still going up higher, this might be a good buying opportunity as it is. All right. Okay, that's it because I'm rambling on here. We'll call it a day. Love you all. Thank you all for coming in as always. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.